So we are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 2, text number 47. And maybe many devotees will be knowing this shloka, but this shloka is mostly, a verse is mostly misunderstood by people in general. And we'll try to understand it in the light of the Acharya's commentary. Please chant after me. Karmani evadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phal heturbhur Mate sangostva karmani Karmanyevadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phal heturbhut Mate sangostva karmani Karmanyevadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phal heturbhut Mate sangostva karmani. Please chant. Karmanyevadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phal heturbhut Mate sangostva karmani. So one devotee is saying that this shloka was sung before prayer in our school. Yeah, it's a fact. It's a very famous shloka. Many devotees may know about it also, but will have a very comprehensive and very deep understanding of this shloka. Why Mukesh Gupta Prabhu is showing Bhagavad Gita to us? I know we are reading Bhagavad Gita. Mukesh Gupta Prabhu, I don't know whether Mukesh Gupta Prabhu, Hindi अपने को छुपाकर गीता मत रखिए आगे सामने. Anyhow, he's not listening. Fine. So, let us read the understanding of this. Karmani eva adhikaraste. Te means you, your adhikar, your qualification is for karma. You can act. There is no problem. Ma means not. Ma phaleshu kadachana. But at no point in time you don't have adhikar or you don't have proprietorship over the results of the actions. This we will understand in the 18th chapter also. In any action there are 5 factors. And the senses, the body, karta, karana, adhishthan. These 3 are jiva, which is the karta, karana means the senses, adhishthan means the body. And then prayas, endeavors. And then ultimately devam, chaivatra, panchamam. Cheshta means endeavors, and the final is causes the Lord. So without Lord's sanctions, nothing will work. So we must understand, I am not the alone doer. I am the doer, but I am not the alone doer. I am not the lonely doer, so to speak. So he must understand this, since I am not the lonely doer, it's not that only I am going to enjoy the results. A person who is a karma yogi, he understands that actions, I have the right to perform actions, but those actions, the fruits which are going to come, are not for my enjoyment. Just like doing Agni Stom Yagya. Yes, fine, you do go ahead with it, you do it. But you should not desire the results like Swarga, which are going to come from that Yagya. The instruction is, you should desire only satisfaction of the Lord in the bhakti context, or you should simply desire purification of heart or elevation to the position of Gyan. One should not desire enjoyment of the results which will accrue or come from doing those sacrifices. Is it understandable? Ma phaleshu kadachana? Okay. Ma karma phala hetubhur. Why I should not consider myself the proprietor of actions? Then ma karma phala hetubhur, because you are not the cause of the results of the actions. You have the proprietorship, or you can say you have the adhikar, qualification for act. You can act, no problem. But do not think that this action's result is caused by you. Does it make sense? And this is our basic problem in this world. Whatever we do, we think that the cause is me, and that's why I should take the credit, I should get the benefit. And this is entangling us in this material world. If I don't get any material reward from this action, why should I perform this? Is it not? That's what people do. And that's what Arjuna was thinking. If I fight this war, what happiness I'm going to get? I mean, Lord had put him in the position of a conditioned soul. He's a liberated soul. He's a pure devotee. But just to teach us, he's manifesting this ignorance that if I don't, if I fight, what happiness, what material happiness I'm going to get? I'm not going to get anything. Why should I fight the war? Now, mate sangostu akarmani is a little tricky. Mate sango asti astu akarmani. Do not become attached to a karma. Do not become attached to not doing your duties. If somebody thinks I am not going to get anything out of it, then he will say, I will not do it. This is one understanding. And second is, if a person thinks, no, by doing actions I will be bound, then also he will not do actions. Does it make sense? But we must understand from our previous discussions, when actions, prescribed duties are performed with non-attachment to results, what does it produce? Spiritual knowledge that I am different from the body. Does it make sense? It's not that there is no result if you are not attached to the result. What result we should not be attached to? Mundane material results for sense enjoyment. But the result is, and doing this, we have a result or goal in mind. What is that result? Yes. People are not understanding my English. I am saying, if with this understanding, if you perform action, performing actions not being attached to results, not thinking oneself the cause of the results, and not being attached to not doing his duty. Not being attached to not doing his duty. Then what will be the result? The result will be spiritual knowledge. Yes, finally, sir. I saw it before you. Spiritual knowledge. This is very much mapped into bhakti also. You have heard it in the Bhagavatam class yesterday. When I do bhakti, if I do not desire material results, if I do not desire liberation, what will I get? कब बताया था आपने? Bhagavad Prem, love of God. Is it not? Have you not heard this? Did you say? I don't say. I don't think you have told Prabhuji. It's out of syllabus, is it not? Did I mention to you? We very clearly mentioned to you that when a person does not desire material enjoyment and liberation, Bhakti Devi bestows on that devotee love of God. Because Krishna, I again repeat, Krishna does not accept any service for free. So devotees should, hearing Shastra, should become very intelligent. He should not sell his service for liberation or for material enjoyment. Then he gets love of God. Then only he will get love of God. There is no other way. Make sense? So one should be intelligent. This is called discrimination power. One should have a discrimination power. What is good for me? So this is, are you able to understand? By actions in a detached way, it's not that you are not going to get the result. The result is spiritual knowledge, spiritual advancement. Okay. You are chanting, Prabhuji's question is, I don't have discrimination power. How will I develop discrimination power? Why do you chant Hare Krishna? Tell us honestly, why do you chant Hare Krishna? Whatever is, I will not chastise and ask why you chant Hare Krishna. It is pleasurable to you. Pleasurable is nice, fine. And what is your goal? What do you want to achieve by chanting Hare Krishna? Krishna Prem. Go back to Godhead. So now you have the discrimination. So how do you say you don't have the discrimination? See, when we are talking about when we are doing a sadhana, what discrimination we should have, what kind of vivek I should have. The goal of life is love of God. So are you chanting Hare Krishna to merge in Brahman? No. Are you chanting Hare Krishna to go to Swarga or go to America? At least you are saying in the class, no. I mean, I accept that. You are a sincere devotee. So now, if those desires are not there, so what is our desire? Let our heart get purified. A very simple example you understand. Our Ajay land is full of salt. So portion of the land is reclaimed, it is growing nicely, and portion of the land is very salty, nothing is growing. So Shashikant Prabhu is working very hard there. So first thing, what he will work hard on is not growing, but to make the land nice. I actually never spoke this, but I wanted to speak in the Japa talks. First consideration is because my land is very salty. So then first land means my heart is very salty. First make it cultivable. So our first thing first desire should be, let me purify my heart first. This is our emphasis. That is why sense gratification is despised means criticized so much in our discussions, in Shastra, in Bhagavad Gita, everywhere. First thing is purification of heart. Cheto darpan marjanam. That is done, then further bhakti will increase. Obviously, bhakti is increasing and heart is getting purified. That's also a point. But real manifestation of bhakti will happen when we are in situated mode of goodness. Does it make sense? Very important. So that purification of heart is also desired in Nishkam Karma Yoga. So those are, they're in a sense running on a similar theme. Only thing in bhakti we directly desire pleasure of Krishna. Here a person does not really desire Krishna's pleasure, but he does not desire the results of material results which are going to come from the performance of prescribed duties. I don't know. I can try my best. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. Let us read the commentary. Maybe you will understand by this. If ज्ञान is attained by performance of prescribed duties, कर्म योग से ज्ञान योग अगर होता है तो, मैं हिंदी में अनुवाद करता हूँ नहीं बताऊंगा, I will explain in English only. Then sense control and other practices must also be practiced since they are included in jnana, but that takes a great effort. Now it's very interesting that we have understood that karma yoga will take us to jnana yoga. Then he's putting a doubt that in jnana yoga the main sadhan is control of mind and control of senses, but that is very difficult. So Lord is saying, no, you do your actions. Do your actions. Karmani eva adhikarasya. You have right for doing your actions. Don't worry about sense control and mind control, it will automatically come, because sense control and mind control is only difficult, fill in the blanks. Sense control and mind control is only difficult because, good, Anish has given us a good answer, material desires. So now material desires becomes vanquished when you perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. All this lust, greed, everything gets vanquished. Then there is no problem. Map it to bhakti. You chant Hare Krishna, now there is difficulty in chanting Hare Krishna. Mind goes here and there. It goes. It only goes because we have attachment to those objects. So if you keep on chanting Hare Krishna, Hari Nam itself will destroy all those desires. Just like I'm sure it is not going to tea. Some devotees might be attached to drinking. Anybody here drinking tea earlier? Before coming to Krishna consciousness. You were attached, yeah. So you were attached to drinking tea, but I don't think chanting Hare Krishna you ever feel there should be a desire. Gala dry, my throat is becoming dry, I should drink tea. Is it not? Just vanished, is it not? Vanished. So just have that faith, continue with bhakti, it will all destroy all kind of material attachments. Anyhow, so the similar way, here Nishkam Karma will purify the heart of the practitioner. He does not have to regulate his senses separately. Karmani or action is in the singular number to indicate a class of action. Means there are various actions to be performed by Kshatriya. In case here, like for Arjuna. Same thing for Brahmana, same thing for Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, all of them. Here very carefully, if a person behaves as per Shastra and as per the modes of material nature, his Swabha which is acquired, then he's in transcendental platform. If a person is a Kshatriya, he's by nature passion, fine, no problem. But if he acts as per Kshatriya in a mood of detachment, he's acting transcendentally. This is very, very nice concept, because all of us are having different inclinations, is it not? So we are not same. But if we act for Krishna, even being how to say, conditioned by the modes of material nature, we are on transcendental platform. Very nice shloka. Every one of us like to do different things, is it not? But if we do it for Krishna, then we are on transcendental platform. You, whose dharma is to fight, but who think that this is not your dharma because of impure heart, have the privilege for actions such as fighting. So what is the problem? Arjuna is, what was the problem with dharma? You understand, dharma means constitutional property of something which you cannot take away from that person, from that object. Now apply that definition of dharma. Like sugar is sweet. Sugar is sweet. You can't take it away from this. So dharma of Kshatriya is to fight. You can't take it away from a Kshatriya. As long as heart is not like pure completely. He will fight. So because of impure heart, you are not able to understand that if you do this action with a detached manner, which is your nature, then it will give you spiritual knowledge. And that's why you are averse to fighting. I hope you are getting the point. Yes. But I am the enjoyer of those actions. But I am means Krishna is the enjoyer. You must understand, Krishna is the enjoyer of those actions. You do not have jurisdiction over the results. It's very simple example Prabhupada gives. Teller, you understand teller? A person who counts money in the bank. He may count thousands and thousands of rupees of notes, but he's doing on the bank or on the behalf of the bank. He does not do anything on his behalf. Does it make sense? Just like I told Anish Prabhu yesterday, count some 18,000 rupees something. So when he's counting, were you thinking the money belongs to me? And I gave him some Lakshmi to go and purchase some bead bags or some beads, japa beads and mridanga like that. So all the while Prabhuji was carrying the Lakshmi, he was thinking this Lakshmi belongs to Prabhuji and he's given me service to do this service. All the while you were thinking like this. Can't we think it for the Lakshmi which you're going to earn through your salary? Now you understand the point? When we are going to earn salary, then we think this is my money. But we practically applied to this whole knowledge of Bhagavad Gita yesterday. You took the Lakshmi, this is Lakshmi is meant for Prabhuji's service. I'll go and do my service and return back and give whatever is returned back to Prabhuji. Not even single pie he took, hopefully, I did not count. So he did not cheat me. But is it not? And all the while, did you feel any difficulty in the heart? Same way our whole life should be spent. Whatever resources we have, there is no problem in... Achha, why did I give you 18,000 rupees? First thing you should tell me, why did I give you? Because I have trust in you. If I was thinking, no, he will cheat me, I will not give you 18,000 rupees. So Krishna, and next time I will give you more. So understand my point. So now Krishna is giving us all the resources, whatever we have. Is it not? In that 18,000 rupees, how much money was yours? Zero. But you did service or not? I was happy. I'm just giving a simple example. So now, similarly, whatever resource we have, intelligence, speech, or anything, money, is all belongs to Krishna. So whatever the result should come, should be for preaching his glories. I'm directly mapping it to bhakti. Then we'll be very happy. And we'll also get the reward of doing service to Krishna. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay. This mentality of attachment to the results causes bondage. I am the enjoyer of the results. You understand my point? I will do just like, okay, if Anish Prabhu would have thought, Prabhuji, how much commission I'm going to get if I do this service? Now you understand? And I'm not going to do this service unless I get some commission. That is called attachment to results. Very simple to understand. And now, so same thing. If you chant Hare Krishna, what benefit I'm going to get? Krishna will be pleased. But when you discuss Bhagavad Gita, Krishna should be pleased. Where just reflect upon it. If a person speaks Bhagavad Gita to please his audience, not to please Krishna, then the audience may be pleased and give him some Lakshmi. But Krishna won't be pleased. So you see, he is not thinking of Krishna's pleasure. He is thinking of his own sense gratification. Does it make sense? So that's how a devotee should never do like that. He should always do what will please Krishna. Prabhupada said this, I never changed anything. And there are people who want to buy the real thing. Okay? Even if I do not desire the results, those actions are linked with the results. Now, Arjuna may put an argument. I may not desire results, but action has an opposite reaction. So if I do an action, just like whatever Kshatriya, if I die, I will definitely go to Swarga. Does it make sense to you? Here very carefully, as a Kshatriya, his duty was to fight. So he's saying, if his argument can be, I will fight, but then I'll go to Swarga, even if I don't desire to go to Swarga. And Lord answers, you should not be the cause for those results. Actions performed with desire are linked to their results. Beautiful secret being told here. Because the scriptures mention that there is linkage with results, particularly when there is desire for results. But because you may fear that results cause bondage, do not develop fondness for avoidance of work. A person may think, if I perform an action, I will definitely get a reaction of that action. That's a normal understanding. But you will get a reaction for that action only if you want that reaction. Only if you want that result. For a Kshatriya to die in the battlefield is very good because he will go to Swarga. Only when he fights with a desire to go to Swarga. Is it coming clear? If you chant Hare Krishna, definitely it has to produce some results. Now it all depends what is my intention. If I want to go to Swarga, you will first go to Swarga. If I want to be liberated, I will be liberated. And if I want to get love of God, we will have to wait for some time, but we will get love of God.
Yes.
Clear? So that's what. So now the Lord is saying, do not become fearful that just because you are doing some action, that you will be bound by that action. It's very simple. Just like when we eat food, we become bound? Yes. But when the food is offered to the Lord for His pleasure, and when we take prasadam, do we become bound or we become liberated? Simple. Now I am speaking Bhagavad Gita. Will I become bound or become liberated? Make sense to you? Very simple to understand. So one should not think, I will do my duty and I'll go to Swarga. Now a very, very important point. If a devotee is planting a tree, if a devotee is serving cows, these are not normal pious activities. If a devotee is opening a water outlet, extremely be very, very careful as to what I'm trying to say here. So he desires that Krishna be pleased by these activities. Make sense?
Yes.
His desire is not that he wants to get some material results from it. I'm slowing down here so that you understand this point. A devotee can also plant trees. A devotee can also do some welfare activities, but just so that Krishna will become pleased. Krishna is suppose a person is hungry, and if you give him food, so it's not to glorify ourselves, oh, I'm great, charity. No. This Krishna has given me some ability to give some food, and let me give some prasadam to some people. This should be the attitude of a devotee always. If somebody needs a medicine, we can give him a medicine, is it not? We say not say, you are not the body, you chant Hare Krishna. Doesn't work. What if this is told to us? That doesn't fly. A devotee is always kind to his body, kind towards his mind, kind towards others. Any need, is it not? Doesn't make sense? In any way we can help people like that, provided they need some help. But don't be foolish. I remember one time I was in Allahabad. That time I was not a devotee also, not even a practicing devotee. I'm even now kind of practicing only. So then person came to me and then he was limping. I'm so much in pain. Give me some Lakshmi. I gave him 10 rupees and then immediately his pain went away and he started walking very straight. So from then onwards, many times I got cheated, because heart is a little soft. So when some people ask like this, now I don't give money. I say, you want prasadam, I give you prasadam. You want accommodation, I give you accommodation. But I will not give you Lakshmi. Lakshmi, you will cheat, But whenever you go, you should always keep some prasadam, some burgers are there. You give them at least some prasadam. Next life they will get some mercy. Yeah, that's very good. Giving prasadam is very good. Even dog Dogs should be given prasadam. Everybody should get, Chandal should get prasadam. Everybody should get prasadam. Okay, rather show repulsion to that. What? You show repulsion to not doing your duty. Show repulsion to being attached to not doing your duty. Why should I not do my duty? Just like waking up early in the morning is our duty. So being attached to not waking up should be given up. समझ में आ रहा है? Clear? Chanting Hare Krishna is our duty, no matter how we feel at a particular time. So if a person has an attachment to his feelings, how I should chant, why I don't feel like chanting, whatever, those things should be given up. This sense of duty is extremely important if you want to advance in a spiritual life. Okay. Actions performed without desire will produce within themselves steadiness in jnana, like sprouts coming from grains. Sense control and other item will accompany that jnana. So you know what is the point? Arjuna has said in Jnana Yoga, Shama and Dama, control of the mind is there and control of senses is there. And it's very difficult because we have material desires. So there's no problem. You perform actions for which you have natural proclivity, natural likeness, natural interest, but do with a sense of detachment. I don't want the results for that. As is now practical terms, if you translate, if a person is working for a job, he can work for a job, but he should always think, how can I use this Lakshmi for Krishna's seva? And no, it becomes very easy when a person is trained in brahmacharya ashram like that. Because from the beginning he is told to perform austerity. So his life is of austerity only. I have seen with my own eyes how Leela Purushottam Prabhu in IIT Kanpur, he was at that time he was assistant professor, but he did not have a bed. We had 2 mattresses only. On mattress on gadda. On the summer season, he was sleeping on simple chatai only. And that's why he was using all his Lakshmi for evening feast, Saturday feast like that. No problem. Because earlier he had a very good training as a brahmachari. He was a very nice brahmachari. So even if a person enters into grahastha life, he is not a sense enjoyer. Does it make sense? That's why training in ashram is very good. Because a person understands the goal of life is not to gratify senses. And actually, either a grahastha or a brahmachari, our needs are very less. Is it not? We are 18 devotees staying in our ashram, almost 18. And we take so less, isn't it? 3-4 kurtas, 500 rupees kurta, 600 rupees kurta, and we are happy, is it not? I have 2 jackets, and I always think, why have a second jacket, I have to think about the second jacket. The second jacket says, why you have not worn me for so long time? Why are you not wearing me for so long time? I always despise this. Why? Collecting more means they will always give signal. So if we have this holding mentality, then we cannot give to Krishna. And it's like constipation. Constipation, everybody must have had experience. Constipation is not good. So we keep on holding, we become uncomfortable. That's what Lord will take. But if you give up the fruits of your action, your money for Krishna's seva, then you will become very happy. Okay? Some questions are there. I'll take up the questions, but you'll have to hold to the end of the class. Purport. So what the point is, now when you become purified by actions, then your mind is already purified. Now you do not have any trouble. So that's why it is difficult for devotees and not prescribed for devotees also to chant whole day for almost all people, because we need to work. Does it make sense? You do Shravan Kirtan in the morning, Shravan Kirtan in the evening, but daytime you do some service. Then you will become peaceful. And you see how I have seen with my own self. We worked so much, and it was all pleasurable. For work. Serving Krishna is very nice, is it not? No matter what service is there, whether you want to make a shed for Krishna or anything, you must be noticing how doing even business activities for Krishna is very pleasurable. Our Krishna Sakha Prabhu also told one time, I gave him some service for doing some account service in our Gomata, and he was very happily doing it. From morning till evening he was doing that. That's very amazing. If you serve Krishna, normal services also, but you don't expect material, mundane money from that, you feel very happy. Rather, you can start meditating on it. How can I do my service nicely? How can I do my service nicely? It's very pleasurable. People become astonished. Paisa nahi milta aapko. You don't get any money for serving like this. And it's never enough. No, you want to serve more and more and more. Like people on Sunday, they want to take holiday. On Sunday, we work overtime. We do more preaching, want to more chanting, more chanting. You see, sometimes people ask me, how am I able to speak on Bhagavad Gita? Did you do Bhakti Shastri? And I can no. Then did you do Bhakti Vaibhav? If I have not done Bhakti Shastri, how can I do Bhakti Vaibhav? But it's amazing. I'm seeing my own life. Krishna being pleased, whatever, in some way by my services, he reveals this knowledge to me. I can pick it up. I am same, whatever, quote unquote intelligent as I was in IIT. I could not understand these things. Are you able to understand? Because the heart, I can directly see, because the heart has got purified, I can immediately pick up what is being mentioned here. Otherwise, I'm speaking English only, not complicated things. But some people whose heart is not purified, they won't pick up these things. They will say it's too complicated. Actually, it's very easy. Is it not? It's like this. I'm not glorifying myself. I'm glorifying the process. I'm giving you customer review of the process. You chant Hare Krishna, you do your services, and you see how you become attached to. Then at some point you can chant Hare Krishna all day as a natural taste. I am not saying you don't chant Hare Krishna. If you have taste, if you have advanced enough from your previous lives, we have no problem. Whole day you chant Hare Krishna. There are some people like that also. Like you know that a Dadu, what is that? He chants 100 rounds per day. I mean, we don't stop him. He chant Hare Krishna. He's an old man. Chant, no problem. My mother chants 64 rounds, but she does all services. We have no problem. They are done away with material desires. Nothing. Kuch nahi rakha. But since we have some material desires, we want to do some, we have the tendency to work. We should work for Krishna. Does it make sense? And everybody is different. But doesn't mean we should not chant Hare Krishna. I will answer all the questions, but let me read the purport. If I will answer the questions now, you will run away. So let me read the 7 pages. Purport. There are 3 considerations here. Prescribed duties, capricious work. Capricious work means bad work, sinful work, and inaction, not doing prescribed duties. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. That is very easy. Brahmana, mode of goodness. Kshatriya, mode of passion. Vaishya, mode of ignorance and passion. And Shudra is mode of ignorance. So different activities are prescribed. You see, if you ask a Shudra really actually to sit in Bhagavad Gita class, very difficult. Very difficult. Or you tell them to chant Hare Krishna. Really, they can work, but they cannot chant Hare Krishna. Although chanting Hare Krishna is easy for everybody, but to develop that subtle intelligence is not possible for a person immediately. आपने देखा ही होगा, समझ नहीं पाते बिल्कुल उस बात. Capricious work means actions without the sanctions of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. 2 things are there. Something which is not sanctioned by Shastra, I do. Just like eating bhoga. I go outside and eat anything what I want to eat. Is it prescribed by Shastra? No. Bhunje tu to agham papa ye pachanta atma karan. Anybody who eats food not offered to Krishna is only eating sin. 3.13 Bhagavad Gita. So now the Lord is saying, you don't eat anything which is not offered to Krishna or to me. So that is capricious work. One example, and anything else. Breaking the regulative principles is bad. So all those things are bad. And inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. We are not doing sin, fine. But I am also not doing what is my duty. Give an example. Doctor is not killing people, but he is not treating his patients. Now you understand? Now it's very clear. Doctor is not killing the people with his whatever knife. And a surgeon, I would say. But if he is not doing his duty as a surgeon, is it proper? So this is also important for devotees. If I don't preach, I am giving up my main service, main duty towards Krishna. I may not harm anybody. I am not a preacher of Mayavad. But devotee saying act of omission. But if I am not behaving as a devotee and preach Krishna consciousness, which is my duty, I'm thinking, oh, if I preach to people, people will respect me. I'll become bound. I have to give so much headache. I will not preach. Anyhow, there's new people are like, I don't want to say the word, but many times purpose is new people are like, should I say? Training new people is like training animals. It's so difficult. So one has to be tolerant. No, you are devotees. Please, please. I am not offending you. But normally, when you train a new person, his senses are completely haywire. So he won't listen. So you have to be tolerant. Like yesterday, no, I won't say anything. So I'm just saying that it is like that. We have to be tolerant. So, अरे इतना झमेला कौन पाले? Why should I take so much botheration? Why should I train devotees? Why, like, no, Krishna is pleased by that. So one should not shun away this our prescribed duty to chant Hare Krishna and spread Hare Krishna. This is our prescribed duty as devotees, no matter which ashram you are. I don't like to preach. Prabhuji, I am so fallen. Please try to understand Amarnath Prabhu. I am so fallen, I cannot preach. First, I need to perfect myself, then I can preach. Is it not? Am I not preaching to you? I am preaching to you why I should not preach. So preaching ability is there or not? So why don't you use it for preaching? Make sense? So many people will say, they will preach you so nicely that your own enthusiasm will go down. They are so nice preachers. Pehle khud ko banao. First make yourself. But we must understand that preaching itself makes us a devotee, a true devotee. Which will please Mahaprabhu Krishna. Okay. Be very clear what is the prescribed duty. Now the role in that preaching may be different. Somebody will cook prasadam, somebody will do kirtan, somebody will drive. That's a different thing. You are distributing books. Everybody will work in a different way. Just like in a railway, everybody does not drive the train, but everybody works in the railway. Make sense? Like that. The mood has to be there. How? If you start, before I go forward, I tell you a secret. In this world, in this universe, if you start focusing on a desire, it will come to pass. My everyday prayer is, Srimati Radharani, please bless me so that I can inspire devotees, anyone, to attain your supreme mercy by chanting Hare Krishna. And see how it is coming to pass. Every day my obsession, my desire is I can help devotees to chant Hare Krishna. Now today there were 101 devotees. 102, and plus there were 2 or 3. 105 also maybe. So I'm telling you, if you focus, I somehow that Mahaprabhu, I want to chant, I want to please you by preaching this Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna will empower us. So those who are not doing it, they are not focusing it enough on it. It's not anything what we can do. Simply by Mahaprabhu's mercy we can do this highest service. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but he told Shukrish Das to be inactive, or Amarnath to be inactive. We can understand, he told Arjuna not to be inactive, but for me he told to have a blanket and sleep nicely. Do something in Telugu. Karanamartha is not doing anything in preaching. He's doing prasadam distribution. That's good. Well, one good thing about prasadam distribution is it doesn't have any language barrier. Anybody can appreciate. But that he performed his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. So I have explained on this point. One who's attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. So, thus he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. Beautiful point. Nityanand Prabhu says, Mahaprabhu has told us to preach. Now, if a person doesn't accept, that is between him and Mahaprabhu, not between us. Does it make sense? Beautiful point. You present Krishna consciousness. He may accept or not accept. That is between, inside the Lord is there. He may inspire, this person is speaking correct. You accept him. Is it not? All of you have come to Krishna consciousness because when we met a devotee and he told us something about Krishna, we somehow or other had faith. He is telling the truth. And there are so many people who will hear and say, hey, Bakwas. So Krishna is inspiring. What can we do? So again, we should not be attached to not preaching. I am talking about preaching. This is the highest duty. Arey Prabhuji, kuch hota hi nahi hai. Nobody is getting affected. If nobody is getting affected, how you got affected, my dear Prabhuji Mataji? How you became a devotee? So if you keep on trying, chanting Hare Krishna, you amazing. How our Dasharthi Prabhu also is preaching so nicely. Sitting in his whatever room, he chants Hare Krishna nicely, become enthused, he gets the realizations, he shares. Isn't it? But you must think about, many devotees will not think about it. Prabhupada very beautifully says in one of the purports, the highest aspiration of a devotee is to become a preacher of Krishna consciousness. Did you get this shloka? This sentence? This is the highest aspiration. I may preach Krishna's glories. That's like Narad Muni. So, as far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, that is regular duties which you are supposed to do, emergency work, which is called apad dharma, which you don't perform on a daily basis, but on an emergency you can do. Just like we don't offer outside food to Krishna. Okay, but you remember, Anish, we went to Mayapur and we did not have prasadam, and we were then everybody was hungry and devotees having trouble. So we actually made some parathas when devotee went to the, what is it? Trade pantry car, and he got it cleaned, and then he got some parathas made to the devotees and then offered the food to Krishna. So it's not that every time we have to do that, but in a apad dharma, in an emergency situation, a person can do that. That is not a regular function. And desired activities means actions which are needed to be done. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions without desire for result is action in the mode of goodness. Translated to bhakti, every day we should chant Hare Krishna, every day we should pay obeisances to Krishna, all those things we are doing in a routine way so that we become elevated in Krishna consciousness. No material result should be desired. It's a very important point. You may think very simple, but most of the dharma, or 99.9%, very easily we can say, dharma is only performed when a person wants some material results. Otherwise, he won't perform any dharma. Is it not? Richa Mataji, do you testify this? People will ask you only how they can get a job, how can they get a wife. They will not say, Mataji, can you help me to purify my heart? I don't think ever anybody would ask her a question. Nobody will go to astrologer to say, how can I get love of God? Can you help me? Will I get love? Nothing. Nobody asks that question. So we are very fortunate to be exposed to this knowledge. Why should we work? And what should be the motivation for work? Okay. But one should not do bad work. Okay. Okay. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. So one should not desire material results by doing some actions. Everyone has this proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. ये clear समझ में आ रहा है, एकदम समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? We do our actions, for us prescribed duty is Bhagavad Dharma. But when doing Bhagavad Dharma also, we must not desire material results. I'm again and again repeating the same point. It happens to people, and I've seen with my eyes how they're serving here for years together with their aspiration to going to America. And then see how much loss is there every day. 1,000 times you get benefit when you chant Hare Krishna in Vrindavan. They cannot conceive how much loss, spiritual loss is there if they go to America. Unless like Srila Prabhupada who will go to America to preach. I'm talking about people who are going to America or other places to sense gratification, material enjoyment. When you're preaching, then you're in Vrindavan only. That's a different thing.
We get work in Bharat, and that was one of the fortunate we are getting. And we have to forward it.
The problem is we are fortunate in Bharat, we are fortunate to be in Vrindavan, but problem is when we don't hear, then we say, I am very misfortunate, I am very unfortunate. That is the problem. So I think you're getting the point. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. Clear? His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Why? Because he's thinking, I'll become bound by the results of the actions. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. You cannot not act. You have to act always. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna. So now, how do you translate it to your life? Rendering service to Krishna, preaching Krishna's glories is our path back home, back to Godhead. We can just sit down. We'll sit down and we'll think of sense gratification. So obviously we have to sit down and chant Hare Krishna, but we must also do something to spread the glories of Krishna. And you see how the name will become very merciful on us and actually help us, we get taste for chanting Hare Krishna. This is the experience of so many devotees. And if you don't preach, you will see the heart is becoming dry, and our own desire for bhakti becomes diminished. You will actually see. And if you preach to others, You yourself do bhakti and preach to others, you will see how you yourself become more and more advanced, more and more enthused in Krishna consciousness. This is my practical experience. Let me just see the questions. When actions are performed without any material desires and liberation, we get spiritual knowledge from Lord. But then does Bhakti Yoga like Shravanam, Kirtan, etc. does these also considered as actions or beyond actions? Because actions always have some results. Bhakti is not called karma, technically speaking, but in Bhakti there are actions. Bhurni bhuri karmani shrutavyani vibhakasha. If you remember that the meaning which was taken by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we want to hear all the actions which are performed in Bhakti. Am I doing some action? Yes, that's why this Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita is speaking something, but it's not technically karma yoga or which is prescribed as per Kshatriya, Brahmana or like that. See, Bhagavad Gita, now here so many devotees are there. Some may be, all of us are engaged differently, is it not? Somebody may be a working person, Mataji, a Prabhuji, a housewife, anybody. But everybody is hearing Bhagavad Gita or not. So it is a Bhagavad Dharma. It is not Varnashram Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma is for everybody without any distinction. Everybody chants Hare Krishna, is it not? Everybody goes to see Krishna. Everybody can pay obeisances to Krishna. Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru is for everybody. The difference in Varnashram Dharma, there is differentiation because of different infection of modes of material nature. Is understood? But Bhagavad Dharma is equal for everybody. I think it's clear. It's not technically speaking Varnashram Dharma. Okay. You gave the example that if we eat, we are satisfying our senses. But if we offer food to Krishna first, then the activity of eating is not sense gratification. However, even if we offer food, we still have a desire to eat sumptuous food. Even while offering, the intention is to enjoy the food once offered. Yes, my dear Mataji, when you are going to get married, then you should first offer the food to the husband and then you eat. That is the nature of, that is the dharma of a Mataji, a wife. So that's how we are behaving. We first offer the food to Krishna, our Swami, Pati, and then we take his remnants. I think you're understanding my point. Please don't take offense. But I must to tell some dharma, some dharma. Now, my Guru Maharaj told a very nice point. If you take somebody's remnants, are you not putting yourself in a very humble position in front of him? किसी का झूठा खाते हैं तो अपने को बहुत नम्र स्थिति में रख रहा है कि नहीं? So when we are taking remnants of Krishna, we are putting ourselves in a very humble position in front of Krishna, and that is our eternal situation. We are servants of Krishna. So what is the difficulty if it is enjoyable? You understand my point? What is the difficulty if the remnants are good and tasty?
And there is no bondage.
And there is no bondage. And on top of it, we are following Krishna's instruction. I am repeating it again and again. When a particular kid or son or daughter, whatever, if he is not following the instructions since long time, but if he follows the instruction, that is very pleasing to the parents, is it not? Similarly, we are following Krishna's instructions. We are supposed to eat. Now, another answer to that, you see, when we control our senses, we should control our senses like controlling a horse. Sometimes we have to pull the horse, sometimes we have to release the horse. If you only pull the horse, then your horse will backfire on you. So similarly, when you have to get up early in the morning, then there is no question of whatever you have to do. You have to do the tapasya. But when you take prasadam, then you can quote unquote gratify your senses. But it's actually not gratification of senses, it is liberation. And that has been explained by Uddhav ji. Oh Krishna, simply by taking your remnants, your devotee becomes free from Maya. That means a person who does not take remnants of Krishna, he will become bound by Maya. There are people who will not take prasadam, Krishna prasadam also. They are so envious and they are so, proud, like that. So a devotee is putting himself in humble situation. And by chanting, even if you have the desire, this is very good, it's very good for eating, But as you keep on taking prasadam, that desire for eating nicely will also go away. So it will go away slowly, but will go away. And you see that, like, I don't think any of the devotees here must be thinking of food when you chant Hare Krishna.
So,
What will I get? Aaj kya banega? Aaj kya banega? What we are going to cook? But you just see your material life when you used to wake up early in the morning. Aaj kya banega? That was the only question, what we are going to eat today. So, like that. Leave alone this, Mataji. Putana came to kill Krishna and feed poison. And then Krishna made her mother in Goloka. So this is amazing. That's what Lord himself says in 11th canto. If somebody thinks this paratha or this paneer sabji is very nice, Krishna will be happy. And then he accepts prasadam, and like that. How much how much he will be benefited, you cannot imagine that. Simple activity of this, offering your food to Krishna. Mahaprabhu himself says, somebody offers such nice food to Krishna, he is, I take his feet, dust of his feet on my head. He is reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's an offering of love. Also, if I love you means love anyone, then when a person comes, I would like to give him something nice to eat, is it not? And if he loves me, then he will also give. So we are giving food to Krishna. Prabhupada says you are giving your food to Krishna, and Krishna loves you nicely. He eats nicely, and then he gives you back the prasadam. So it's an exchange of love. Okay? And as you say, desire for sense gratification has not gone away. It will go away because you are first desiring Krishna's satisfaction. Just like a person is very happy in kirtan. So what is the difficulty? Our relationship with Krishna is not in misery. Our relationship with Krishna is in happiness. Okay. Now Arjuna fought at Krishna's will without desire of Swarga or anything. So result would be love of Lord right now. Well, it depends on what consciousness is acting. Yes, the Lord had a mission. First of all, he already had love of God. So Arjuna already has love of God. But yes, when we act, if we do bhakti yoga in that spirit, Nishkam karma yoga, technically speaking, can only purify your heart. It cannot give you love of God. Love of God can only be had by doing bhakti yoga directly, sakshat bhakti yoga. But with an attitude of not desiring swarga, not desiring liberation. Does that answer the question? Okay. How to love and be empathetic yet be detached? Because love causes attachment. It is a natural phenomenon. It's a beautiful question. You see, when we love a person, we give him what is best, but be detached in the matter that how much is going to accept, that is not in our control. It's a very good question. You may preach to people and you will preach to so many people. Some people will accept, some people will not accept, some people will accept, and some people will just go against you also. It will happen, be prepared for that. Same person whom you preached, he may just go away. Give him his space. Give him or her his space. समझ में आ गया? Whenever he comes to you, okay, why don't you practice Krishna consciousness? Like one of my students was practicing Krishna consciousness very nicely. Now he does not even pick up his phone because he knows whenever I'll ask him, are you chanting Hare Krishna? So they are not very good student. I don't know why for some time he's in Maya. So after getting kicked by Maya a little bit, then he might understand. So like that. Can we say actions in bhakti are divya karma, transcendental work? Yes, that you can say for Krishna. One should not be attached to the results, but if we map it into bhakti, then why cannot we become attached to the results? As we can now only listen about the results. No, we are attached to the result, but try to understand what result. Anukulina Krishnanushilana. Krishna becomes pleased. It's not that we do actions without any goal. Sambandha Videya Prayojan, isn't that sadhana bhakti is called sadhana bhakti when the goal is prema bhakti. But that is not called result, technically speaking, because they don't have a cause and effect relationship. It's just a matter of maturity. I am chanting Hare Krishna so that I can chant Hare Krishna with love of God. Does it make sense? So it is not a mundane result which you are desiring by chanting Hare Krishna or by Bhagavad Gita or like that. मैं फिर से repeat कर रहा हूँ, ये बहुत बड़ा confusion है. It's not that we don't want any result from our actions, but not mundane results. When I'm speaking Bhagavad Gita, what is in my mind? Krishna be pleased with me and give me parabhakti, which he promises. So is it a mundane result? No, if I get pure love of God, Krishna also will be pleased by that. So there's not a problem. Actually, I was talking about the point that Krishna is an enjoyer as per the verse, but we still think while offering that I will enjoy this food. Yes, no problem, but after Krishna. After Krishna, not before Krishna. Not with Krishna, not before Krishna. नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. I will not eat before Krishna, I will not eat with Krishna. Just like a chaste wife will not eat with the husband and not eat before the husband. And if you cannot be that chaste, don't have the husband. If you think it is too difficult, then don't marry. No. I'm not just telling to you, I'm just making a joke. But that is the duty of a chaste wife, is it not? I said, one time I saw one devotee was there and he asked his wife, did you take, we should go for prasadam. No, I have taken prasadam already in Govinda restaurant. And I go, oh, I was looking at her. So fine. But we have seen how our mothers have actually been always so chaste and they always wait for the husband. And anyways, husband also has to be. Yeah, it's like that. And it used to happen in the storybook. Now it is not happening, so we don't expect. Senses are the horses. Man is the driver of that horses. Ratha and Atma are the Swami riding in that Ratha. Hare Krishna. Yes, final comments by the Brahmagyani Virendra Chandra Prabhu. Final. Okay, so I'll leave you here. I just crack jokes so that you can remain awake. Oh, there are many devotees today hearing Bhagavad Gita. Very good. Lot of improvement today. More and more participants. Today, how many devotees are there? 25 devotees. I'll just end with this last point. Prabhupada says, whenever our devotee hears Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very pleased. Why? Krishna says, in this world, nobody is hearing my Bhagavad Gita. Hare, he is hearing my Bhagavad Gita. Such a nice devotee, he is hearing my Bhagavad Gita. He becomes very happy. Prabhupada will be pleased. It's definitely true. But I'm just saying, Krishna, but no, it's very rare. It's just now, if you actually see how many people in India or America or everywhere, they must be reading Bhagavad Gita. You can count on fingers. You can count here, 25 devotees. It's amazing how much Krishna is pleased when we discuss Bhagavad Gita. This is because it is a very great science. We learned many mysterious things, is it not today? Even when we are acting, I'm not getting bound. Last example, I will not go further. When a soldier is shooting bullets on the war front, he gets rewarded because he's acting on the order of government. But when the same soldier kills one person when he's coming to his home, he will get imprisoned. Now you understand? And also, if the soldier says, I will not fight, I will not shoot the bullets, it's not good, then also he'll be punished. Make sense to you? So we should not be attached to the results and material results, and one should not be attached to not doing our duty. Okay? Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ritai Gaur Premanande. Hari Gaur.